Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. It is Friday, the 25th of August, and I'm on my way home. But because I'm not sure my microphone's working, I thought I'd just pause, pull up this lovely lay-by, let you look at the traffic go by as I tell you about my day. I'm going to start off by reminding you that I was in Hull last night, and in my last video I was explaining that I was going to find it interesting to see what kind of numbers of jobs came out of Hull in the morning. So I got a job. It was from Hull itself to Scarborough, and it was 39 miles on the CX app from a national shipper, from a branch of a national shipper. I'm not going to say which branch it is, but I have made a mistake today, and it just so happens that the mistake was made with the same branch that gave me this first job. I'll come to that later on today, and it's something I do regret a little bit, to be honest. But let's go back to my first job. So I got that job and I quoted £75 for it. It was a long wheel-based job. Just make sure I got that right. And so I thought £75 was fair, mainly because I was going to end up in a place that was not going to get a job from, as well as the mileage and the size of the vehicle. So I picked that up, and it was, to be fair, it wasn't really a long wheelbase job. It could have easily gone, I think, into a small van. It was 2 small pallets, and possibly it was a bit high, maybe. So definitely it would have gone to a short wheelbase van. And it was 2 pallets, and they were printed materials in boxes, and they were cellophaned to the pallets. And I shut them down really well. And then I made my way from Hull to Scarborough, and on the way it reminded me of a time when I made my biggest mistake in this career work, and I did do a video as I was driving to tell you all about that mistake, but I don't think it came out very well, so I'm not going to post it. What I'll probably do is I'll do it after this video while I'm sitting here, because it's something I still want to do. So I got myself to Scarborough. It wasn't actually all the way into Scarborough, it was before. And as I was coming into the drop-off, about 10 minutes away, I noticed that the traffic was really busy in coming up this direction, and it was all red on the maps. So I was thinking I need to really get myself away from this area as soon as possible, because otherwise I'd be stuck. There's not like to be a job actually from where I am. So I got myself on site at 10 to 11 and got my delivery done by 11. And then I was looking for another job, and I had a quick look at jobs, and there wasn't really anything around. I had a look on the Google Maps about where was the closest place for me to go to from where I was, and I had some options. My options could have been to go towards Middlesbrough, but that was about an hour away, and it would have been, I think, going in the wrong direction and not right. Could have gone towards Leeds, which was going another hour away, but I think would have been in a better location. Or I could have gone towards Hull, which is about 3/4 of an hour away, and there had been quite a few jobs coming out of Hull in the morning. In a moment I'll tell you how many there were. So what I thought I'd do, I would head towards, initially out of Scarborough towards York, which was the same road that would take me to Leeds and Hull. And I'd get out of Scarborough, or the area of Scarborough I was in, and just find out if any jobs came up. So I made my way out, and I will just tell you at this point, because I did save them, how many jobs were coming out of Hull in the morning. I'll just count them up. I'll try and not double count ones that were just reposted. So there's a Grimsby to Nottingham at 7:25. There was a York to Leeds at 8:25. There's a Grimsby to Nottingham, that's the same. Grimsby to Nottingham was reposted. Hull to Barnsley was at 9 o'clock. Then there was a Hull to HP, like High Wycombe area. It's not High Wycombe, but it's HP2. That was at 3 minutes past 9 for the Hull to Barnsley, 4 minutes past 9 for the Hull to HP2. 9:25 was Hull to Manchester. Then there's a Scunthorpe to Lincoln, which is Scunthorpe's basically Hull-ish. If you live there, I'm sure you think it's very different, but it's very close in terms of the map. That was 9:30. The Hull to Barnsley one came back on at 9:30. The Hull to Manchester one looks like it's coming back on at 9:30 as well. Yeah, it looks like it's the same one. And then there's a Hull to Leeds at 9:30 as well. A Hull to HG5. I don't know where HG5 is. I think it might be Halifax Way, possibly. That was at 9:36. There was a Hull. Oh, that one was done. There's Bridlington to Leeds. I nearly had that one because I was ready for it. It's 10:15, but I realised I was quite far from Bridlington because when I dropped off at Scarborough, it's quite a long way to go to get that. It's only a small van job. The Hull to Leeds came up again. Bridlington to Leeds came up again. So we're talking now midday. So there's around about, I would say, 10-ish separate jobs from the morning. Let me just count them through if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there was 10 different jobs, possibly, yeah, but possibly 11 up to 1 o'clock, 11 or 12. So in the morning there was a Gould to South Shields, there was a HU15, so there was 12 or 13 before 1 o'clock in the morning. So also when I looked at the drivers, there was 2 drivers actually in Hull, but they didn't move all day. I saw them around all day, that were green, and then there was 1 or 2 right on the east coast, but I don't think they moved either. And that was about it really, that were green. So there wasn't really a lot of drivers at any point that was green in Hull. So 12 jobs in a morning. I think if you wanted to work, you'd have got work. I suppose looking back at it, what was the time of the 9:30, 10? There was 9:30. There was quite a few. Then a bit of a jump to 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:20. Yeah, so it's possibly getting a bit late for some people then. Anyway, so I felt that today there was quite busy. So when I was trying to decide where to go, I thought, well, I could get back to Hull, probably get a job from there, but I was hedging my bets. So I made my way sort of towards Yorkish area and looked at jobs. And then I did get a job. It was a job. Oh, let me go back to my other page. It was a job going from. There's a wait and return job. I remember that. Going from Hull to Salford, and I put a bid on. It was for a small van job, and it was 100 miles one direction, and it came on the system at a time when I felt I was running out of choices. It was picked up between 12 and 1 o'clock, and so I bid quite quickly £150, £150. I based that on £1 a mile going one way and 50p a mile going the other way. And I thought, well, that's 75p all in, going both backwards and forwards. So I felt for a small van job, that's probably a fair price. And for me, I felt as I was driving towards it, I thought, oh, I feel like I've underbid there. But I felt, at the time, it seemed like a good price to bid. And I was thinking, okay, well, what choices do you have? So if I'd gone, which my ideal price has been £1 a mile for all the miles, so that's £200. I don't think I would have got it for that. So my next idea is to do £1 a mile for the leg out, 100 miles, and 75p coming back, so £75. So I probably could and should have bid £175, but if I'd done that, I think that would have been a fair price, but I might not have won it at that price. So I think another small van might have got that. And it was a risk that I felt, in terms of what ended up happening, it didn't really matter. But I think that if I'd done £150 to travel all the way to Salford and back, I don't know that I would have been back in time to have picked up another job, which is what I was worried about. So I thought the 150 was probably a little bit too low to have that as my last earnings for the day. But 175 would have been what I'd gone with. So I basically resolved to think, what you've done here is you've missed out £25 that you could have potentially got if it had all gone to plan. So that's not the biggest deal in the world. And then I got a call, and unfortunately that job got cancelled. So the guy called me and apologised and said it was cancelled. And then he was going to go off the phone, and I said, "Oh, are you going to pay me my cancellation fee?" Because he didn't mention anything. And he said, "Yeah, I'll charge the customer," and then hung up. And if I hadn't have mentioned that, he wouldn't have paid me anything. So it's a lesson that I've learned, is when you get cancellation, you do have to ask for the cancellation fee. It's not just assumed. And I think he was, when I think back to the conversation, it was really quite a bad line. We both couldn't hear each other very well. And I felt that his approach was, apologise for it being cancelled, explain it's been cancelled, apologise, and get off the phone. And I think it was about trying to not give you a chance to ask for a cancellation fee. And maybe I'm being too cynical, but that's the feeling I got. And I just jumped in there at the end and said, "Oh, by the way, are you going to pay my fee?" And he changed it within about 2 minutes on the app. So I got £25 for that job. But now I had no job. So I was looking again, and what happened next was a job did come up from, ironically, from Scarborough, going quite some distance, and I stopped. Let me look at the actual bid I put on. I stopped moving because I was about 15 minutes away from it. It was quite soon after I left Scarborough, and the traffic going back was fine. But the job that I put a bid on was Scarborough to Bristol. This is an interesting one. I didn't want to go to Bristol, but Bristol was to be delivered on Tuesday. So I had to have these goods on my van all weekend. And it was a medium wheelbase van, and it had no note on there about what the goods were. So I was reluctant to do it for the reasons, but I thought I could just pick this up, go home, and then just deliver on Tuesday, and that'd be the end of my day. So I bid quite strongly on it. I bid £330, 330, which I thought, oh no, actually no, my first bid was £350, and I put a note saying, I'm going to wait here for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to keep heading south, thinking there was nobody near me at this point, and I didn't think it was a very popular job, and I thought I had a chance of getting it at that. And the main thing is, I would have done it for £350 gladly. I waited for exactly 5 minutes, and then I carried on driving. Then I cancelled the quote, and I was thinking, well, I'm not that far away still. What if I put a slightly low quote in? What would I go with? And I thought, well, I'll take off 20 quid. 330 to me seems like a fair thing for me to still do this job, have goods on my vehicle over the weekend. And so I put that on, and then it was basically it was cancelled. No, not cancelled. Basically, my bid was cancelled, so it was just too rich for them, and it was reposted, and I ignored it after that. I then just carried on my way going south. Another job came up from, let me see which one it was. Oh, this is where I made my mistake. So let me tell you about my mistake. Oh dear, I cringe a bit now when I think about it. It was Hull to Leeds. No, was that wasn't the one. I got a call from from a company from a Hull to Leeds bid that I did, and this was put on the system at 5 to 12, so it's around about this time when I was trying to find a job. And I bid for a small van job going from Hull to Leeds, which is 60 miles. I bid £70, and that was basically £1 a mile. And they rang me and they said, "Can you do it for £55?" I said, "No, sorry, I can't." "Can you do it for £60?" I said, "No, I can't do it for the price I said." I said, "Okay, fine, no worries," and went and hung up. So that was the first time that happened today. And then I had another bid, which was, I'm trying to find it now. Here we go. It was at 12:42, so not long after I'd had that experience, it came on, and it was from the same shipper that gave me my very first job, the same branch of the shipper, and I quoted £60 on I'm saying Hull, it's HU15, I'm not sure where that is, going to WF10, which is a Wakefield area. It's a 36-mile journey for a small van. Now, it was going in the wrong direction for me, and I had to do some dead miles to get to it. So I put on a bid of £60 because I thought I would do it for that price, but otherwise I'm not going to do it. And they called me, the lady called me, and so this is the one that I made the mistake with. So she called me and said, "Can you do it for something like, I don't know, what would she say? You do it for £50. It's only 36 miles," she said. And because of my previous experience of being called and then they're trying to bite me down, and the same thing happening here, I said, "Oh no, I'm not going to reduce my price." And she said, "Can you do it for 55? I think it was. So and at this point, I said words to this effect: "This is a bidding platform. I've put the best bid on that I'm prepared to do a job for. You've called me obviously because you want me to do the job. Don't call me if you not accept my price." Words to that effect is what I said. And I didn't say it nastily, or at least I didn't feel I said it nastily. I think I just said it matter of factly, or that's my intention at least. And she basically said, "Oh, okay then," and put the phone down. Now she didn't put it down like slam it down. She just, "Oh, okay, then put it down." But it was quite an abrupt end to the phone call, and I was expecting there to be a bit more of a conversation where she'd explain why she's trying to do it lower, but there was no explanation. It was just, and I think she may have taken it as me telling her off for calling me, which I didn't. And that's what my mistake is. I think I gave her the impression that I was probably cross with her, which I wasn't really. I was just trying to explain from a driver's perspective, it's a bidding platform. We put our bids on. That's what we do the job for. Please don't call us if you don't want to give us the job. Obviously, you're calling us because we're the only person who's available to do it at any price. So anyway, I kind of regretted saying the words in the way that I did, but I can't change it now. And then the same thing happened again. So I had a bid on from Goole going up to the northeast, and I put £130 on because it was going in the opposite direction to me, and it was for a small van job, and it was 119 miles. And actually I think that's not too bad on a Friday going to the northeast. And this is another one where they rang me, and I learned from this time I was very careful about the words that I used, because they said, "Can you do it for 115?" And I said, "No, I'm going to stick to my price." They said, "Can you do it for 120?" And during this time, the guy who was on the phone to me was talking to someone in the office each time. So he was checking with someone in the office whether he could go higher. And so he went to the back office and kept to me 120, said, no, honestly, I can't go any lower. It is going to the northeast on a Friday. And I kind of left it at that. And then I said, I can do it for 130 if you want. So I didn't go off on a kind of mini rant about why they were doing, because I learned from the last conversation. But it was interesting, it was the third time it happened today. And they said, okay, fair enough, and put the phone down, but it was all very nice. Now, what happened next, I think is, I realise it's being great karma. So, first of all, the Hull to Wakefield one got cancelled and then got reposted a bit later on. And then I got a bid on for a job going from Scunthorpe to Lincoln, which is going south, which is going back towards home. And I put a bid on for 35 miles of £70 because I was an hour away from the pickup. So I thought, well, I'm probably not going to get it, but I am probably the only one. I was the only one around in the area. So I did that. And then what happened was I had a little beep on my CX app and a job came through. I thought, oh, that's good. And then I had a phone call. So I answered the phone call and then I put my, opened up the alert, and it showed me that I'd won the job going from Scarborough to Lincoln, and but it said accept or decline, and it said £70 going south for an hour's journey south, then pick up and then go on to Lincoln. That was £70. Or on the phone, guess who's ringing me on the phone? The guy that wanted me to pick up his load going to the northeast from Gaul. And he explained to me, and he explained to me actually on the first call, which I've forgotten to tell you, that what I was doing was picking up a parcel from one of his drivers that had broken down. And he was on the motorway junction near Gaul. And I was talking to him before I accepted the one on the alerts. I was talking to him, and he was telling me a bit more about where his driver was. He didn't even bother talking about money there. Suddenly the 130 was fine. They were going to pay the 130. And then I thought, wait there, I've got a job here that's not... so just in my head, just to give you some idea, I picked up the phone expecting it to be the person that gave me the job, and then it took me a few moments to work out, oh no, it's not the same person, it's another job. And I just said, what am I going to do? I'm trying to talk to someone and look at a booking, and that is never very good for me. Multitasking isn't good for me. So I was listening to him, and then the more I listened to him, the more I thought, wait, there's another job here going where I want to go. It's less money, but it's going the right way. And you're the person who a moment ago wouldn't pay me the £10 I wanted when I was offering it to you at the first time. So I said, oh, I'm sorry, I've got a job come through. I can't do your job now. And I put the phone down. And I accepted the job going from Scunthorpe to Lincoln. So this is my thoughts. And I'm absolutely prepared that you will disagree with this. But this is my thinking. It's a Friday. Your driver has broken down. You've got to take a parcel to the northeast. And you don't pay a driver that's willing to do that for you the extra £10 you'll want to pay. So you put the phone down, and then within 5 minutes, you're prepared to do it. So why didn't you do it 5 minutes ago when that driver was prepared to do it and there was no other business? I hadn't bid at that point on my second job. But between the phone being put down the first time and picked up the second time, I'd bid on another job and it come through and pinged through on my app. So they missed out on me doing that job for them because of effectively £10. They didn't want to pay the extra £10. And I'm thinking, what I was thinking was, you've got a customer that you're letting down here because another driver's broken down. It might be your employed driver, but a driver that you're subcontracting or employing has broken down. So to me, you're in an emergency situation, but you're still trying to get same normal rates. Well, emergency situations need emergency rates in my mind. So it seemed like a very silly business decision from their point of view. And to be honest, I felt like it was instant karma. And I do like that. Anyway, going back, so the Scunthorpe to Lincoln one, I had to ring there was a bit of a mislead. I'll tell you, I'll read to you the note, and I'll tell you why it is confusing, and why sometimes the notes that people put on the system need to be thought through better. It says, please can driver lift box of the pallet. Right, so I'm guessing of means off. So, I get that in principle, but what I don't get is, do you mean lift it off the pallet before I collect the parcel? So when I collect it, take it off the pallet and put it in my van? Or do you mean when I get to the delivery point, don't deliver it with the pallet? Because it might be that it has to be forklifted on. I don't know how heavy it was. And how do I get it off in that case? Or it might be that there'll be someone to help me at the other end, but they don't want the pallet. So if you're going to put notes on the system, just be really careful how you word stuff so that it's clear. I had to ring in the end. I started my way down, and when I was 15 minutes away from the pickup, I rang the number and just said, I'm 15 minutes away. Can you just tell me what do I need to do about the pallet? Do I take it off the pallet at the collection point, or do I deliver it and not deliver it with the pallet at the drop point? And he told me that it was don't deliver it with it, don't take the pallet in the first place, which is fine. Which I knew that, I was happy with it. So I got to the that place. It was a pickup between 12:50 and 1:50, and I arrived there. Let's just look at my notes. At 20 past 2, I'd finished. I arrived at 5:02, but arrived got off site at 20 past 2. And to be fair, they weren't bothered about it. I did tell my shipper guy what time I was going to be there when I was sort of 15 minutes away. So in the end, it wasn't really an issue for anyone. Oh yes, another thing I want to say. I went to the office to collect this, to get some signature on my pod. By the way, I am doing my own pods only if there's no paperwork. I'm sort of changing that slightly. Now, I went to the office and I asked them to do this signature, and as I was leaving the office, one of the ladies in the office said, if only our drivers were that polite. And I was walking away, and it wasn't said deliberately so I'd hear it. It was said at a volume that I might have missed it, but I definitely did hear it. I had a little smile as I walked out that door, thinking, win for me. I've managed to convince someone that bit politeness is good. So yeah, politeness is good, everyone. You should try it. Anyway, so I got that delivered. What time did it delivered? I got that delivered in Lincoln. Oh, it doesn't have it here. Why didn't I have it here? Because I had paperwork, I think. So I got delivered about an hour later. It was a short drive. So say I was there at about 3:30ish, 25 past 3, 3:30. By the time I found it was 3:30 actually, I remember. And then I was looking for another job. I was in Lincoln, and I remembered, last time I was in Lincoln this week, I thought it'd be really busy, and it wasn't. So I thought, looked at the map, and I thought, where can I go to? There's Grantham, there's a Newark, or there's going further north. And I thought, well, if I head east towards Newark, that's getting me closer to Nottingham, and I can always come back to Grantham or go down to Salford if I need to. So I made my way to Newark, looking for jobs, and I did get a job. I parked up just outside the ring road around Newark, and I got another job, and it was a job, would you believe, going from Lincoln LN6 to Lincoln LN4. So I thought, I recognise that LN6 postcode, and I put it to my sat nav, and it was already there. It was the postcode I just delivered to from Scunthorpe. My Scunthorpe to Lincoln job was to LN6, and my pickup was the same postcode. So I'd actually driven about 10 miles south to Newark. That's drive 10 miles back for nothing, effectively. So just these things happen. 20 miles I didn't have to do, and a bit of time that I drove that I wouldn't have to drive if I'd stayed where I was. There was no guaranteeing, was there, at that point, that I would get a job. I went to Unit 1 and I was collected. So my drop off before from Scunthorpe was Unit 1, and I had to pick up from Unit 5. So it was exactly the same road. It's almost opposite where I was. So I got there and picked up a small box. Well, no, the box wasn't small. The box was a medium-sized box, and I'd finished that about 3:45. I left there, and I put on a bid of £50, my minimum, because it was a small van job going for a total of 14 miles. It was about half an hour's journey. So I made my way towards LN6, and then on the way a job popped up from LN1 going to LN6, and it was a long wheelbase job, and I didn't have time obviously to go back to LN1 from where I was, but the time of the pickup was before 6 o'clock. So I thought, if I can get to my place in half an hour, which is maybe about 5:15, it's about 40 minutes to get to LN1. I can do that. So I put a bid in. The actual job is 6 miles, and I put a bid in of £50, my minimum. And I got a call, and before the guy said anything, I said to him, I'm on my way to LN4 now to drop off. I reckon I could be back to LN1 in time before 6 o'clock, but it'd be tight. And he said, that's fine. In hindsight, I think he was quite desperate because of the time of the day. And he said, you're picking up 5 plasterboards. So I thought that's fine. And I made my way to do my tip in LN4. And like I said, I did make it there in pretty good time. So I left at 5:45 from the pickup place, and I'd done my pod, rung the customer, left it at a safe place at 5:15. Then I made my way straight away back to LN1, but luckily for me, it was a lot shorter than I'd thought. It was only about half an hour, 25 minutes. So I actually arrived at the pickup place for my last job at 5:40. I had to be there before 6 o'clock, and that was okay. But then when I got there, they'd left the boards and two bags of plaster at the gate, because it was all clocked up, and they left it at the gate, sort of in the service area, so it was away from prying eyes. And I got there, and it's all wrapped up in cellophane. So I tried to lift it, and there was no way I could lift it. So I just had to take all the cellophane off and put it all on one by one. There was some damage to the top board, so I took a photo of it, and then I rang the shipper and put the photos onto CX, rang the shipper and said, oh, there's some photos on there to show you what the top board was like when I arrived. And I did say to him, this is quite heavy, I might need to ask for some handballing charge. It was a different guy that had given me the job, because they were now on their nighttime cover. So the guy who went to the phone said, let me know how it goes when you drop off. And I got the impression I could ask for a handballing charge. I said, I'll let you know when I get there. So I made my way to LN6 from LN1. And it was a residential house. The guy was there to help me unload. In fact, he carried the plasterboards I took them off the van, he took them into his house. So my handballing at the other end was very minimal. I got him to sign, I took a picture, and then I uploaded it on CX. And then that was it, I finished. I didn't bother asking for handballing charge, I thought it was fair as it was. And then I made my way away from there. So I finished my last job at 25 past 6. So not a bad day. Quite a lot of stuff that I learnt, quite a lot of stuff to tell you about. Let me give you some stats now. So I'm going to give you my daily stats and then my weekly stats for this week. So for today, when I get home, I will have worked today for... Oh, I haven't put the time in that I started. What time did I start? Let's have a look. One moment. Just look after yourselves while I do this. In my spreadsheet, I didn't put the start time this morning, so it's misleading. Okay, I'm going to put 9:30. I think that's about right. It'll do for an estimate. It wasn't a million miles from there. Okay, so based on that, my hours today will be 10 hours and a quarter. I will have driven 248 miles, 248, and my average cost of fuel at the moment is 15.53 pence per mile. I filled up again today. I filled it this morning actually before I left for my first job. My cost of fuel for today is £38.51. And my total earnings today are from 5 CX jobs. So there was the Hull to Scarborough for £75. There was the cancelled Hull wait and return to Salford for £25. There was the Scarborough to Lincoln job for £70. And then there was the Lincoln to Lincoln job for 50 and the Lincoln to Lincoln job for 50. So two of them at the end there. That comes to a total of £270 today, 270. Therefore, today, after fuel costs, I've earned £231, 231. Right, let's look at my weekly figures for this week. I have worked 5 days this week. I have driven a total of 1,681 miles, 1681. The hours that I've worked this week is quite high. It's the highest I've done for a long time. Actually, yeah, for a very long time. 71.5 hours I worked this week. I earned £1,510 gross, 1510, and my fuel was £261 and 2 pence this week, 261. So it is creeping up, my fuel costs. Therefore, my net earnings after fuel, and the fuel is pre-tax, so pre-VAT, is £1,249, 1249. And my earned pence per mile is back up to a rate that I'm happier with. This week it was 74.3 pence per mile, and that's every mile that I drove. Now, my average right there, I think I may have made a slight mistake. Let me just refresh that. Yeah, I have made a mistake, sorry. My figures are slightly wrong in terms of my amount earned. The amount I earned gross was 1,460. The amount that I earned after fuel was 1,199, 1199. So everything else is the same. That means my average amount earned after fuel per day is basically £240. So that's £10 less than my target. My average hourly rate after business costs are taken into account this week is £11.17, £11.17. So that's the total amount that I've earned after fuel divided by the number of hours I've worked, which was wait there, I made another mistake. 62 hours suddenly. Oh, okay. I think because I hadn't put in the start time in my previous spreadsheet. When I refresh this, it's brought down my hours to 62. So 62 is the actual number of hours I've worked. Oh, I've really messed up this, haven't I? Let me do the weekly figures again. Right, 5 days worked, 62 hours worked this week, 1681 miles driven. Cost of fuel, 261. Total gross earnings, 1460. My net earnings after fuel, 1199. My pence per mile earned, 71.33. My average amount earned per day is 239.8, basically £240, and my average hourly rate after business costs taken into account is £11.17. That figure is based on the amount that I've earned after fuel, take away 5 lots of £80 divided by the number of hours I worked this week, which is 62. Right, there we go. So the 240 as an average is under my target, but that's only £50 under my target. If I'd earned £50 more this week, I'd have made target. So I cannot be unhappy with that amount of money. That's just one minimum price job that I missed out on this week to make target. So absolutely happy with that amount of money. It's around, if I'm close to my target, I'm happy with it. I'm not gonna beat myself up for not getting above 250 each time. Right. I've learnt that my videos take ages to upload, and it's been 41 minutes now, so I'm going to bring this to a close, and then I'm going to do another video about my biggest mistake I've done as a career. So hopefully this will load up within the next, by the end of the weekend, hopefully this will load up, because it's taking a good 2 or 3 days, 2 days to load up. Right, thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry about the mistakes that I made in this video. It's a bit disappointing. I'm a bit disappointed in that. But there's a summary of my week and a few lessons I learnt today, and I hope it was of interest. What have you learnt today?